When I first started mining, I was really buying graphic cards to mine on, and I'd put like 1 to 3 per motherboard, and then I would sell them in gaming computers, and then I would use that money to buy more graphic cards to mine with, and I would kind of build up over time. And eventually I got serious, and I was like, you know what? I want to build something that's really dedicated, that really is going to mine what I want to mine. So I built this monster, and it was a huge learning curve for me at first. But now that I've learned what I know now, building any more mining rigs is a piece of cake, and I want to share with you what I know from start to finish when it comes to building a dedicated mining machine. Because it's a crazy experience when you first do this, but once you get it done and once you really learn the ropes, it really is passive income. I mean, I don't even come in here to check on it. It just makes money. And I get an email or a text message every time it goes down, which is every once in a blue moon. I come in, I power it back on, and no issues. And this is something you can do. It's something anybody can do, and I so encourage you to get into this. So this is how you build a dedicated mining rig. I am going to go over multiple aspects of building a dedicated mining machine today. And it's not going to be just how do you put it together physically and what parts you need, but also what do you need to maintain it? What should you expect? How should you do this? This video is going to go into the how to pull everything together. Now the actual step by step of like literally physically plugging it in and everything and connecting all of it, that's going to be a different video series that I'll be making later on, because that is a much longer topic of showing you like from the basics if you do not understand how to actually put together your computer. Like if you can't build a gaming computer, that's going to be a different video from this. This is not going to show you how to insert your CPU. You got to realize that mining crypto, especially with a dedicated mining machine, this is like a business now, right? Like every time you earn something and goes into your wallet, you owe taxes. If you didn't know that, you owe taxes every time you earn something. So this is a business. You need to treat it like a business. And every time that you don't treat it like a business, not only are you losing money because you could have been earning more somewhere else, but you're also losing money to Uncle Sam. So there are many things that we need to go over, and it's going to feel a little intimidating at first, but trust me, it becomes natural. It's like breathing once you figure it out. And I'm going to walk you through everything. It's really not hard, and there are so many people, not just myself, that have gone through this, okay? This is something that everyone in the crypto mining community has gone through. We are all here to support you. We've all been through it. Seriously, it's worth the struggle, because I can't tell you how amazing of a feeling it is to just go to work every day and know that, yeah, I'm going to come home and I made money because this thing was on. I really think that crypto mining is a great side hustle, passive income, something that every household should have. I mean, obviously that's my opinion. Quickly, I want to go over the first topic, which is expectations. Right now, we are in a bull market. And just so you know, a bull market means the market is tending upwards, bear market is tending downwards. In a bull market, you're going to make drastically more money than you're going to make in a bear market. In the last bear market, I personally made only a few dollars per graphic card every month after electricity. I mean, it really wasn't much. Now, I do have a video, by the way, of how I lowered my electricity and got around that. But you do got to realize that the markets are going to change how much you make. What's also going to change it is the difficulty and the rewards that you receive. You got to realize as more people join the mining community and realize that this is an amazing way to make money, it actually increases difficulty and lowers the rewards that you're going to earn. And as new hardware comes out, which has higher hash rate and people start using that, that's also going to outdate your old hardware, and then you're going to continue to get lower rewards. So you got to be prepared for as the community grows and as hardware comes out, and depending on the market, your profits are going to change. So you got to be ready for this. And this is just a topic I wanted to bring up to tame your expectations of some crypto $1 million dream that you're going to get overnight, because that's not how this works. Your 3090s aren't going to make that crazy amount of money every single month. It can be a little intimidating when I first say that to people and they're like, wait, so what should I expect? And I have to tell them, you don't really know what to expect, but I'll give you what I know, and trust me, it's going to be fine. Everyone who has crypto mined has gone through this, and when you go through your first bear market, let me tell you, put some hair on your balls. Now, before you actually start putting together your hardware, make sure you check out my electrical video that I made. That is really critical. I've already gone over that topic, so you need to watch that. If you don't, you could be starting a fire. So just know that before you continue. You should watch that. But if you already know about how your electrical works, then we're going to go on to now, how do you actually put together your mining rig, which I know you guys have been waiting for the whole time. When it comes to building a GPU mining rig, it's way simpler than you think. It's honestly just like building any other computer. You need a motherboard, you need RAM, you need a CPU. But when it comes to any of the parts like the motherboard, the RAM, the CPU, they genuinely don't matter. Now, the RAM can kind of matter if you're going to run Windows, though I don't suggest that you run Windows on a dedicated mining machine, especially if you have a lot of GPUs, but you can. If you have a dedicated mining machine that's using Windows, I would have at least 8 gigs of RAM, at least. But in general, 4 gigs will do you just fine. As for the CPU, it's very popular to get the Pentiums, like really cheap and used, and people use that for their mining rig, because again, the CPU doesn't matter. I mean, at least not if you're not CPU mining. And as for the motherboard, make sure you get a motherboard and a CPU that's compatible. Look at the compatibility list on the motherboard spec page. But the biggest thing about the motherboard is you gotta make sure it has enough PCI slots for you to actually connect to. Now, there are some motherboards that they're gonna charge like $300 for, and they're gonna have a bunch of PCI 16 slots. And to be honest, I don't think that's worth it. What I suggest is just get an old motherboard or anything that has enough PCI slots. Usually 6 slots is enough. Buy what's called a riser. It looks like this. You're actually gonna put your graphic card on here, and like this one you can see connects with the USB. And it will actually, right here on the other end, connect to the PCI slot. Now, if you're going to use the PCI 16 slot, which is the normal slot you put your graphic card in, I tend to get these PCI 16 risers that are just super helpful. It helps me raise it. And a lot of the time as well, if you use the PCI 16 slot, that graphic card will cover up the PCI slots that you need for other graphic cards. Now, where do you raise them? You can see behind me there is plenty of open rigs that you can buy. There's one I think that's in shot right now. There's a wood one that a friend literally put together for me. You'll see a lot of people actually literally, like with paper clips, hang their graphic cards off of the shelving, and it really doesn't matter how you do it as long as you're doing it. So I went over buying risers and how to connect them and how really most of the parts don't matter. Really what matters is don't get a power supply that's going to blow up on you. Get plenty of risers, and you really can just hook it up and start mining crypto. So what operating system do we want to use? Now, I personally like Hive OS. I like that. There's lots of competitors, and I suggest that you use really any of them that you feel like it. They're extremely simple. You can use a hard drive, an SSD, you can use a thumb drive, and you literally just plug it into your computer, and they have instructions online. Like if you go to Hive OS website, it's literally gonna have like a step-by-step like method of how to do this. Once you flash it onto like a thumb drive, for example, when you plug in your hard drive to the motherboard with everything hooked up and you power on your computer, it's literally just gonna start up and start mining for you. At least that's how it works for Hive OS, because it's already connected to my account as I flashed it onto the hard drive. And I personally like Hive OS because it's just a plug and play. It just works. I can plug in whatever I want. It just starts mining. I love it. Just so you know, Hive OS is not free. It's free on your first rig, but after your first rig, it's like $3 per computer that you're using it on if you don't use their pool, which I think their pool uses like 3%. But again, I'm not advocating Hive OS. I'm just saying I use it personally. I like it. Now, Hive OS makes this really easy where you can overclock and undervolt your graphic cards really well, but you can find many places online. I'll put a link above me right now of a good site that I like to use. And you always want to make sure you undervolt your graphic cards, meaning it uses less electricity and you're still getting the same or more hash rate for undervolting and overclocking it. You got to realize that if you don't overclock and undervolt your graphic cards, I am competing against you, for example, and I am spending less money on the electricity. My cards are going to last longer. I am producing less heat, and I have a higher hash rate than you. That is how important it is to make sure you properly undervolt and overclock. But every graphic card is different, which is why, as I was saying, check out the website that I put above my head, because it is not universal. You don't have a universal thing of this is the perfect settings. It's not how it works. So let's say now that you have everything that you want to buy. You haven't bought it yet, but you have a parts list. You're like, okay, well, I want this many graphic cards and I want these graphic cards specifically. And what do we do now? So it's really important that you have an Excel/budget sheet here, okay? What kind of break-even time should you look for? your break-even times are going to look different whether it's in a bull market versus bear market. In a bull market, you can have pieces honestly pay off in like 4 months, okay? Like it's super fast. Versus in a bear market, you could have stuff that has no reasonable time, but you invest knowing how the cycles work. For example, in 2019 and early 2020, I knew with a high degree of confidence that the Bitcoin halving was coming up in 2020. So I decided to have a lot of big upgrades before there were even big profits. It's not that I can see the future, it's just that's written into the program. And I knew that there was going to be a shortage that would cause skyrocketing in prices that would start the new bull run just like every time before it. So that's why in 2018, I started kind of getting into mining, building it up. By 2019, I was really getting more serious about it. And by 2020, I was super prepared for the bull market. And again, I was profiting. Don't get me wrong. I was making money. But to be honest with you, I was always able to be creative and find ways to make break-even times that were less than a year. My normal goals is to usually have a break-even time in 10 months or less, which, by the way, is not always easy. So especially in a bear market, I am a huge fan of buying used parts. I don't have an issue with used, and I think they are fantastic deals. And there's shortages going on right now, so getting cheap parts is impossible. But at the moment, because there's shortages, I don't buy used right now. Right now, I am only buying things near or around MSRP that's new because of the shortages. And usually though, I love buying used, and here's why. Used cards have lasted me just as long. I don't have issues with them. So here is how I search for graphic cards in a bear market or bull market, okay? So let's say I build a rig that I want to be a very quick break-even point, which, by the way, you gotta have a goal with each rig. For example, the 580s, my goal was a very quick break-even. It was not maximum profit over a 3-year period. Because, for example, if you want the maximum profit over 3 years, it's actually better to buy a bunch of 3090s and mine on the 3090s and more energy efficient graphic cards than buy that. I do not care if it is a bull market or bear market, what shortages are going on. Pull out a piece of paper or get out your Excel sheet. We're making a budget sheet. In general, I try to get something that pays off in at most 10 months. Now, sometimes it can go more than that. Now, that's my personal general goal, but you also got to realize like the 3090s I have, even at the current profit, they're probably not going to pay off in 10 months, and I acknowledge that, but those have a different goal. Always have a goal for every rig that you're making. The 3090s that I'm buying right now, my goal is to have a maximum amount of profit over a 3-year span instead of a very quick break-even time. There's an ASIC miner I'm staring down, and I personally said, you know what? The maximum amount of time I want it to take to break even with current profits is 6 months. So I said, okay, if the ASIC miner makes X amount every month, then how much should I spend to make sure that it doesn't take more than 6 months? Now, I actually think it's going to take more than 6 months because I am expecting a bear market in the next 3 to 6 months. And because of that, I wanted something that, even though I'm pretty sure a bear market will be coming in the next 3 to 6 months, that it still has a very fast break-even time, because 6 months on an ASIC miner is awesome. Now, this ASIC is selling for well over $10,000 brand new. And I said, well, the maximum I want to spend is $7,000 to hit my goal. And to be honest, I couldn't find anything at that price, and I was okay with that. That's something I want you to learn. I want you to learn that if you can't find the prices to make your goal, then don't buy it. Don't be in a rush. So it's 100% fine to wait. Now, if you really start waiting a really long time, maybe you need to look at your plan again and decide, am I going down the right path? Maybe I'm expecting too much. Maybe I need to change my plan. But until then, stick to your guns and try to get what you want. And I was patient, and I eventually found somebody who said, I will sell it to you for less than $6,000. And I was like, bang, that is exactly what I want. I'm going to buy that. And my patience was rewarded. Build a battle plan. Have a budget sheet. And on the topic of build your battle plan, you also need to have your plan for what is your plan to sell. Personally, all the mining rigs you see right now, I just hold everything I earn. I don't sell it. I just don't. I didn't even sell it in the bear market. But that is because it was an investment for me. Now that my electric bill is starting to get crazier and crazier, especially since I have ASIC miners coming in the mail, yeah, I'm going to have to sell some to start paying off electricity. But you also got to realize that every single time that you get a payment and it hits your wallet, you owe money to the government. Every time I bring this up, people are like, that's not how it works. Yes, it is. Like, literally Google it. That is absolutely how it works. You do owe taxes on crypto that you earn, even if you don't sell it. So you also need to think, okay, am I going to pay the taxes at the end of the year and bet that the money will still be worth the same thing or more by the time that tax season comes up? Or do you sell the portion that you owe to Uncle Sam to put it in your bank account or a liquidity lender until you have to pay him next year to make sure you have a more guaranteed money savings to pay Uncle Sam when he comes knocking at your door? But this is all things you need to decide. And you also need to decide, okay, well, if you take out the amount you need for electricity and you take out the amount you need for Uncle Sam, then do you take out any for yourself? And if so, how much? Do you take all of it? Do you keep a little bit in investment? This is something I don't have an answer for you. This is something that you need to ask yourself. You need to ask yourself, what are my goals? What do I want? Is this going to be side spending money for me? Is this an investment for the future and I just want to hold it? What are you doing? I know in this video we went over various topics of how do you do this? What should you be looking for? What kind of mentality should you have? What should you expect? And the general idea of a mining rig. And I know it's not, how do you actually build it from scratch? Like a lot of people have been asking me to do. I'm still working on that. You got to realize it takes a bit longer to, make the content to actually show you how do you put in the CPU and the motherboard and everything like that. But I am working on it, and I hope this helps though. But I wanted to more teach you, what should you be thinking about? What are you looking for? What should you be selling at? What kind of budgeting should you be expecting? What are the important parts of building a dedicated mining machine, which is electricity, your budget, your goals, that kind of stuff? That is the important part. Like, that genuinely is 99% of building a mining rig is thinking about this stuff. It really is. The part of putting it together is the easiest part. But if you enjoyed the video, please hit the notification bell. That way you know every time I make a video. Hit the like button, share it. It really helps me out and I appreciate it. If you have any questions, ask me in the comments. I make a lot of content based off of what people ask. I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching and welcome to the crypto mining community.